What do you think of the Mets adding Devin Williams here?
I pretty much have the same opinion as most of my fellow writers, it seems, which is good move, but necessary still to have Edwin Diaz in the back of that bullpen if you're building a really strong bullpen. If you've got Devin Williams as your closer, well, you better build a strong group in front of him, which they ultimately could do anyway. But I'd like this a whole lot better if it's Williams setting up for Diaz. Not that Devin Williams can't close, of course he can. But as a setup man for Edwin Diaz, that is a combination that a championship team would want and you could see becoming something truly special.
Go for it, AJ.
My question is, which one do you think they're going to be better at, Ken? Getting Edwin Diaz and trying to use Devin Williams as a setup guy? Or can they go out and fill it to make Devin Williams? Because basically when he was at his best, he was a one-inning guy. They brought him in the ninth in Milwaukee after getting through 8 innings and saying, go get the ninth in a clean inning. So which one do you think the Mets favor doing?
Well, it's going to depend on price. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but if they feel
Ken? What new, Ken?
If they feel Edwin Diaz's price is excessive, they're not going to sign Edwin Diaz. But if you're asking me which is the better way to go, a group of strong setup men in front of Williams as a closer, or Edwin Diaz in the back, Devin Williams setting up, and then a group of guys, hopefully strong group in front of them, I would say that's the better way to go. But there are many ways to build a bullpen. We know that. And often relievers come out of nowhere too. Now, you can't count on that, obviously. It's much better to have someone who's proven, like a Williams or a Diaz. But you can build a bullpen. The Mets can build a quality bullpen without Diaz and with Williams as their closer. They just would be better with Diaz as the anchor.
All right, Ken. He just threw you a slider. I'm going to throw you the nastiest knuckleball. Is there a chance they get Diaz because they don't want to spend on starting pitching, so they're going to shorten the game and get guys who can just go 4 innings like they have been and say, we have much more stability knowing what we're getting with 2 elite end-of-the-game closers. We'll just shorten the game and never have to spend anything on a starting pitcher.
No, they need starting pitching. And you're right. Teams today, Eric, generally prefer, if possible, to shorten games. We just don't see starters pitching deep into games anymore. But even if you're taking that approach with the Mets, or if you're the Mets, you're still going to need guys to start the game beyond your 3 kids and beyond David Peterson and the rest of that group, Manaea. So their clearest need, their biggest downfall last season was starting pitching. And even with Devin Williams, and even if you get Edwin Diaz, and even if you sign 3 other relievers, you're still going to need someone to take the ball at the start of the game. And it's really hard to win with 4 inning starts every night because you're going to your bullpen every night. The volatility that AJ was speaking of comes into play. So no, their priority still has to be 2 starting pitchers, not 1 in my opinion, 2, and then go from there.
All right, Ken, well, who's next? Which reliever is next off the board? I know Pete Fairbanks has been mentioned. There's some other guys out there that are mentioned as relievers. So who's next? Who's the next closer to sign? Is it Diaz? Is it Fairbanks? Is it someone else that we don't know? A late inning guy that it's going to get big money?
I would expect Fairbanks. In fact, I thought he might be the next one after Helsley. And of course, Williams signed first. Fairbanks has gotten a ton of interest. The Marlins have been a team on him. The Blue Jays have been a team on him. They've been on the other relievers as well, the late inning guys. Edwin Diaz is maybe going to take a bit longer because he has the qualifying offer. And that complicates things with his market. Teams have to give up a draft pick to sign him. Robert Suarez, I would expect that he's going to take a little bit longer too, though you don't know. And as the Williams signing showed, even the Ryan Helsley signing showed, the timing of these things are impossible to predict. But certainly we are seeing a run on relievers. We're seeing this from Raisel Iglesias to Phil Maton to Helsley to now Devin Williams, and I'm probably missing a couple. Andrew Kittredge had his option picked up by the Orioles after they acquired him in a trade. The relievers are clearly going first here, and there are quite a few left. We've got Luke Weaver left. We've got Emilio Pagan left. We've got Kenley Jansen still out there. So there are a number of options still available. Tyler Rogers is a hot guy too.
Hey, Ken, I want to be critical here of something that I think shouldn't be overlooked. Pete Fairbanks didn't have his option picked up. We're seeing what the prices are looking like. There's almost no chance that Pete Fairbanks is going to get less than what the Rays could have picked him up for. I believe that there was concern from the Rays that they weren't going to be able to flip him. But now looking back, I think many teams would have at least given up a prospect or two to lock in Pete Fairbanks for one season at I believe 10 or 11 million bucks. So how much did they screw up? This is a team that can't spend much, so they can't miss on the margins like this.
I agree, Scott. And actually, I asked that question after they declined the option. And what I was told is that they have had a hard time trading him, or they had a hard time trading him. It wasn't as easy as we might think. He has had some physical issues, and that comes into it. But for whatever reason, at least in their mind, they weren't getting the value that they wanted for Fairbanks. Now, certainly, it appeared to me that in a market this vibrant with teams, so many teams needing relievers, that someone would have given them a prospect, as you said, for Pete Fairbanks. But I don't know that they didn't try. They did try. It's just that they didn't get what they wanted. Now, should they have set their sights lower? That's something that we could talk about, but we don't know exactly what they were offered. So it's difficult to say. But this is a team that certainly is not afraid to trade. The last two deadlines, they've traded guys, a ton of guys, and yet they didn't trade Fairbanks. And perhaps that tells us that his market, at least in their eyes, wasn't as good as it could have been.
Ken, stay on the Rays here for a second. Is Brandon Lowe going to get traded? Is he next? I mean, because like we just mentioned, Pete Fairbanks wasn't. I mean, 11 million I think is what they declined. He hopefully gets more than that for a guy that we all like here on FT. But is Brandon Lowe next? Are they finally going to pull the trigger on Brandon Lowe, a guy who they locked in, and he's been a really good player for him, and he's been in rumors. Gosh, I feel like Brandon Lowe has been rumored like every year, like, oh, Brandon Lowe's a guy. Are they finally going to pull the trigger on him?
I would say they're more motivated than in the past. He has only 1 year remaining, and then he will become a free agent. So you have two more windows to trade him. One would be now, and one would be at the deadline, where sometimes it's hard to find fits for position players. So there are teams that could use a left-handed hitting second baseman like Brandon Lowe, a guy who's third on the Rays all-time list in home runs. So they're going to listen. The problem they have with trading him is that they don't have really an internal replacement. Carson Williams could be their shortstop eventually this season. Maybe Taylor Walls moves to second. That's an offensively challenged double play combination, at least right now. And then you have Jonathan Aranda. You could play him at second, but he hasn't played much there. So if you trade Lau, you probably got to find a second baseman somewhere else. Not impossible, something that they could do, but it's a little bit complicated for that reason.
KP, the website is chubbyshorts.com. The brand is Chubbies, but it's not just shorts.
Yeah, don't be fooled by the website's name. This is a one-stop shop for all things that I love. Swimming trunks, golf polos, and even flannels. It fits me perfectly. One-stop shop is the place to go.
Yes, sir. KP, I've been wearing their flannel overshirt. It's like my favorite flannel and your softest sweater having a little baby. It's the best of both worlds. Classic flannel look with the warmth of a fleece. And we know it's that time of year to pull that off. The Chubbies flannel overshirt. It feels like your favorite flannel, but with the warmth of a cozy sweater. And for a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off your purchase at Chubbies with the promo code FOUL at checkout. But if it's Black Friday, skip the code. Take advantage of an even bigger markdown during their exclusive Black Friday sale. Just head to chubbiesshorts.com and make sure to support the show by telling them that Foul Territory sent you.
Is there a chance Patrick Zalewski spends? Or is it all based on, oh, I need his public funding for my new stadium, and just gets in line with every other major league owner?
Every signal they've been sending so far is that they're going to continue to operate the way they've operated in the past. Now, that, of course, is in a very financially restricted way. They say it would be based on their revenues. Why should we outspend our revenues? We all get that. That said, when a new owner comes in, generally a new owner wants to make an impact. And we've written about this at The Athletic a little bit. I do not expect it to happen. But Kyle Tucker is from Tampa. Actually, Pete Alonso is also from Tampa. And you could make a real splash with one of those two guys. And the Rays in the past they have made some big money bids. Freddie Freeman was the most notable among them. But Freddie Freeman ended up being 165. Kyle Tucker probably will be twice that. I don't see it happening. But to get to your point, Eric, if I'm the new owners of the Rays, yeah, I'd like to maybe make a signing or two to demonstrate right away my commitment and how it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, fans are pretty simple, right? It's like caveman status, like feed me, give me a home for fans. It's like you show up, talk to me a little bit, maybe sign someone, give me a sign that things are going to be different. So we haven't seen it yet, but I mean, there's time. We've got the offseason to go here. While we're on the Rays, real quick, Ken, I don't know if you saw Brandon Hyde was picked up there as a senior advisor. I just wanted to reflect now that all of the manager roles have been filled. Were any names really surprising to you that they didn't either get a job or didn't surface more? To me, Hyde stands out, and I know you wrote a story about David Ross. It didn't sound like he got a ton of interest either.
Those two for sure. And we've had some interesting managerial hires this cycle, no doubt about it. And we've had some first-timers, guys like Kurt Suzuki, who you could think of as getting a chance at some point based on the way teams hire now. And we've had some outside-the-box hires. Blake Butera, coming from the Tampa Bay Rays minor league system, becoming the Nationals manager at 31. And, of course, Tony Vitello in San Francisco, never been in professional baseball, only in college. We'll see how this all plays out. I've written about this, and I know people have strong opinions both ways. There are some people who believe, hey, good for the game to get new people in the mix and to find these people and just take a different approach. There are other people, and I would count myself in this group, who think that experience matters a whole lot and that some of the more experienced managers who deserve a second chance are getting overlooked in a way that they shouldn't be. And I would put Hyde and Ross in that category. Was either the next Connie Mack in their first incarnations? No. But we've seen managers who get second chances often succeed. Derek Shelton got one in Minnesota. He'll be their new guy. But to me, experience counts more than teams or certain teams are giving it credit for. And it's sort of an insult to some of these guys that they're not getting at least a more serious look. And I know people on both sides of this, they don't see it that way, but it's just a little unusual the way this has all gone down this offseason.
All right, you wrote in your notes column that about the center field market with Jake Myers possibly being somebody that the Astros would trade. Does the center field market go through the aforementioned Minnesota Twins, just like you talked about with the trades with Buxton? And is that kind of the reason that maybe the Astros are looking to move Jake Myers? They see a place where teams need some value with, I think, just Bader being the best center fielder available on the market right now.
No one seems to know what the Twins are doing, and that's a problem for all of us right now. I'm not even sure the Twins know what they're doing just yet because they've gotten this infusion of money from the two new minority investors, but they were going to use it to cover and pay down their debt. And where they are in a baseball sense is not clear at all. And the Twins can go one of two ways. They can continue what they started at the deadline, which was just tearing it down to the absolute nubs, or they can start to build back up again. They've got a core of decent players. Buxton, of course, foremost among them, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez. We can go right down the line in a division that is perennially one of the weaker divisions. They could build up again, fix their bullpen, which they traded everybody from last July, and then try to compete. I don't know that that's the way they're going to go, and I don't know that they're going to trade Ryan, Pablo Lopez, and then Buxton too. I don't know if that's their choice. But Dan Hayes of The Athletic has written that if they continue this process, if, for instance, they choose to trade Ryan, then Buxton is going to be open to a trade as well. And it just all depends on the direction that they take, and that direction, again, is not yet clear.
Ken, you're talking about the Marlins hiring coaches and losing coaches and you're saying the free agent market is slowed by coaches? To me, as a player, I'm like, wait, why is the free agent market slowed by coaches? Like, you have a manager, you have a general manager. It doesn't matter to me as a player really who the coaches are. I'm going to go play there if I want to go play there.
No, it's not that. Maybe I didn't write it clearly enough, AJ, or maybe you're not.
Well, or I didn't read it.
Or you didn't read it. But no, what I meant by that, what I'm referring to is teams are so preoccupied right now and have been for the past month or so in hiring new staff. They lose people, they hire new people. There were 9 managerial changes, right? So you have all these teams hiring coaches from one another and then having to replace the ones they lost and all of that. That is what delayed their attention on trades in the free agent market. Now we're in full force now. There's still some hirings of staff members going on, but for the most part, teams are focused on player personnel, and that's where the offseason generally is the most fun, of course. But it does get delayed a bit by all the staffing changes because teams, they have to go through interview processes, even for minor league hitting coordinators or lower positions even. It's not something that you just snap your fingers and you've got that person. You've got to go through a process, interview people, bring them in, etc. And it takes time.
Hey, Ken, I want to bring up the Andrew Baggerly article from The Athletic. Your colleague wrote about how San Francisco is not going to necessarily be playing on big starting pitching like Amai, who seemed like an obvious fit. He does want to go against the Dodgers, it appears. The one, I mean, go wherever you want to go, but the one part I did want to include here is he said how they're still about 60 million under the luxury tax threshold, but there's other payments involved, like Blake Snell's bonus and some money they have to pay off for managers, buyouts, whatever. Even with that math, I'm like, they still have a lot under the first threshold at 244 mil. So why do you think that they're not going to get up to that mark?
I don't know. And it's very curious to me. And I encourage people to read what Andrew Baggerly wrote because he goes through just where the Giants are. Now, we've known and we've seen them make some big money commitments. Devers, of course, Adames, Chapman, yes, even the center fielder. But at the same time, if you're going to do that, why do you stop? And it seems that they're stopping. It seems that they're not going to go big for the pitching that they need. And it's very curious why they've taken this approach. Whether it's related to an impending lockout, I don't know. Whether ownership has simply decided we don't want to do this at this level right now, it's not clear. But to me, you're the Giants. You're trying to build back up. You've just hired a new manager. Why are you taking not necessarily a step back, but a step sideways? It just doesn't seem to add up to me.